So you might think that the Cubase Control Room mixer is all maxed out now, but you would be wrong, and there's plenty more to do. So in big recording studios, it is often the case that their control room has multiple set of monitor systems or speaker systems. One set might be their $50,000 huge set embedded into the walls. The next set may be a pair of near-field monitors on top of the console in front of them, and maybe a smaller set still of near-fields on top of those. And maybe they'll have a mono speaker in the corner somewhere to simulate what their music might sound like coming out of a TV speaker or a radio speaker, something like that. And Cubase allows for all of this. So currently we've set up monitor 1, and we set that up a long time ago, and that's how we're listening to this screencast. But I'm going to set up a monitor 2. I'm going to go into VST Connections. I'm going to add channel, add a monitor, monitor 2, stereo configuration. And I have a couple of speakers here in my studio that when I set these up, that they're connected to analogs 1 and 2, so I'm going to do that now. And you'll be able to hear the difference because the speakers in my studios on monitor 2 will be bouncing off the walls and going back into my microphone, where the monitor 1 will be the direct connection that you're hearing currently. So I'm going to close that up, and you'll notice first of all that we've added yet another little area to the control room mixer. There's a monitor 1, a monitor 2, and a couple of switches that allow you to switch between them. So we can switch between the monitor speakers at will. And then there's a cycle switch here that will switch between them as well. And if you have up to 4 of them, A, B, C, D, they'll all show up in here, and you'll be able to cycle through A, B, C, D with this monitor switch right here. One more thing I want to bring up is that you'll notice that monitor 1 is selected down here, and you'll notice also that monitor 1 is now highlighted up here. And this input gain is for monitor 1. And the input gains, the reason I bring them up is that you can use input gains on monitor speakers to match the level of those speakers. So let's say you've got your high dollar speakers embedded into the wall and they're a higher impedance than your other speakers. You can use the input gains on all your monitor channels to level balance those speakers so that they all sound at the same volume when you play through your mix. And I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to switch to my monitor 2 speakers, and I'm going to raise this level, this input gain, maybe to about, I don't know, 13 or 14 dB, so that so that you can clearly hear those speakers that are coming through my studio and then going into my microphone. And in that way, you know, little level balancing there. So you'll be able to hear a very distinct difference between the two monitors. And, you know, you'll have to imagine that you can have up to 4 different monitor systems and be able to switch between them. So I'm going to start my project. I'm going to select monitor 1 and I start my project here. And you'll hear, of course, now you're hearing it just like you've always heard it through the regular monitors we've been using the whole time. But I can also switch to the B speakers. And that's coming through the microphone because I've got the speakers hooked up in the studio. And I can switch back. And you can imagine how useful that would be in terms of being able to compare your mix on different systems. You can also cycle between them here. And one more thing I want to mention is that you can also solo individual speakers. So if I want to solo the left channel, I can do that. If I want to solo the right channel, I can do that. And I can do that with any of my monitor pairs, any of my pairs of monitor speakers. And if you happen to be working in surround, which is a little bit beyond the scope of my presentation, there's all kinds of tools in terms of manipulating where you hear your sound from. You can solo your center speaker, you can solo your rear speakers, you can swap between your front and rear speakers. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And again, it's a little bit beyond my scope, but if you happen to be working in surround, the control room offers lots of options for monitoring and then for mix downs, which we're going to cover a little bit in the next video. So the next video, we're going to talk about comparing your mix on a stereo versus a mono level and how to do that. So I'll see you next time.